figure out what those stories are that you tell yourself, and then implement a strategy for how you're gonna get there. Literally set deadlines for yourself. Tell yourself, okay, by this deadline, I'm gonna quit my job. By this deadline, I'm gonna make X amount of dollars. Like, put that in place and make that a do or die situation. G'day mates, what's going on? Today we are here at St. Augustine in Florida. And I just wanted to take a minute, guys, to make a video and talk about some of the experiences that I had here at the Funnel Hacking Live event for 2018 with Russell Brunson. Tony Robbins was there as well, and I just wanted to make this video to share something that I think is really, really important, and one of those aha moments for me while I was at this event that I think will shine a bit of a light for you guys when you're looking to have breakthrough moments in your life. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me okay. My voice is a little deep and weird because yesterday at the Tony Robbins event, he got us super hyped up. You know, we were screaming, we were shouting, and so I'm losing my voice a little bit. So hopefully you guys can still hear me pretty well on the video, and I hope you appreciate the wonderful beach here. It's absolutely beautiful. But diving into the topic, I want to talk about breakthrough moments, because I think that all of us have had a breakthrough moment in our lives. There's something that's happened that's been a catalyst for getting us to that next level or the next point in our lives. You know, whether that's through, you know, when we were a child, we were playing sports, or, you know, growing up as a teenager, there were certain things that happened in our lives, whether they're traumatic events or big events that happened that changed who we are and made us take a certain action or a certain step in a direction that's led us where we are today. And I just want to share first, what I'm going to do is share kind of the process of how you have a breakthrough moment. But first I want to share, and that strategy is straight from Tony Robbins. So I'm going to be sharing exactly what he shared with us while he was on stage yesterday. And he's such an incredible man. But I wanted to share my breakthrough moment with you first, because I just want to kind of explain one of those moments for me. Now, most of you have been following me for a little bit. Those who are new, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here on this channel watching this video, and I hope that you can you know, engage with me, and I can provide enough value for you to help you take your life and your business to the next level. But my breakthrough moment, when I was sitting down thinking about it, he asked us this question. And as you guys know, or some of you may know, I quit my job last year in March. It was kind of in April. And it was kind of in the transition phase to when my wife was going back to school. And my breakthrough moment at that time was, I am so sick of being stuck in a corporate 9-to-5. I'm so sick of not doing what I love and following my passion, that my pain threshold was so great that I couldn't take working in a job anymore. I didn't know what exactly I was going to do to make the money, but I knew that having a job is not what I wanted, and it wasn't going to allow me to fulfill my destiny and my purpose here on this planet. So I decided that I was going to quit my job. I quit my job, and I've never looked back. So what was that thing, that moment in that process that made me make that decision in the moment, right? Because if you think back to when you've had a breakthrough moment in your life, you can pinpoint a specific moment when you actually made that decision that you were going to do, made that choice, right? And so he got me thinking about this, and I was thinking, what specifically was that moment that led me over the edge? What was it? And I know I explained to you kind of that threshold of pain. I was at a level of pain I just couldn't. The pain of working in a job was so much greater than me quitting it and trying to do my own thing. Like, it got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, is a lot of times, and Tony was explaining this, is when we have those breakthrough moments and those breakthrough decisions, it's typically when we reach a threshold of pain that we can handle. And that's actually one of the ways that human beings, and 99% of us, actually make those changes. But he wanted to explain and teach us how we can have these breakthrough moments and these breakthrough decisions whenever we want. So we can choose when we have these moments, and I'm going to share with you strategy on how to do that. So I was also thinking about, what factors also played into me helping to make that decision, right? Because, what was going on at that time that helped me do it. And one big thing for me as I was reflecting was my wife. My wife is so supportive, and I remember, we had, moved from California. It was so sad to have to leave. We moved to Rexburg, Idaho, where my wife's finishing up school now. And, we got to Rexburg, and, I started applying for a few jobs because I was scared that this whole thing about like this idea of quitting my job wasn't gonna work. I was afraid. I was afraid of what my parents would think. I was afraid of what other people would think of me. And I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to provide for my wife and I. And that was a problem. So even I reached that threshold where I was like, I'm gonna quit my job, it was still really hard for me to do it. So I remember I got I started kind of a week of work on my own. You're working from home. It was great. I loved it. I loved not having the responsibility to, get to my job at 7 or 8 in the morning, whatever time it was that I had to get to work. And I could basically finish whenever I wanted to. So, one big thing for me at that moment is that my wife supported me in that decision. And she told me I was offered a job with UPS as a part-time, as part-time, and it was going to be really, really good hours. It was like 5 to maybe 10 in the morning, so it was like it would work well with my schedule. I'd still have a ton of time to be able to do what I want. But she told me, she's like, look, you're just going to put yourself back in the same situation, and you're not going to go all in, give 100% on pursuing your passion, your dream. And I realized, I was like, crap, you're right. Like, it's probably best that I don't get this part-time job, even though I don't know how I'm going to make the money, right? So she kind of pushed me to continue following through with that pursuit. And I'm so grateful that she did, because I don't know if I would have been as successful as I was the first month, where I made $2,500. And, it completely changed my life. It made me believe that every month after that, it was possible. Like, it was actually possible for me. It wasn't other people, it was me. And I think that belief that I created in myself that month really allowed me to keep going. And so, we always have these limiting beliefs that stop us from getting where we want to be. And, our objective is to break those, to take those risks, and then create new beliefs to replace those. So, I think also another factor was the environment. So we actually moved from Cali to Idaho. So that was obviously a change too. I was kind of ready for a fresh start. That helped in the process. So think back to when you've had those breakthrough moments and recognize what it was in that moment that helped you get there. All right. So let's jump into Tony Robbins' strategy. So basically what he shared at the event was that there's 3 different steps. And we usually, as human beings, we get them backwards, right? And so the first thing that he talked about was state. Now, what that means exactly, I'm not going to go into a ton of depth on this video, but I'll make another video about this. But basically, there's a certain state that we're in where we feel a certain way. So for example, when we're happy, we're in a certain state. Mind, our actions, what we do. When we're depressed, we're in a certain state. We act very, low energy. We talk slower. We're usually lazy. We're not doing much. When we're happy, we're excited. We've got a lot of energy. We're doing things productively. We're working on our goals. So that's kind of classified as a state. And he was explaining that in order for us to have these breakthrough moments, we have to be in the correct state. So if you're in a depressed state, you're not setting yourself up to have that breakthrough, because your mind, your energy levels are not going to be there in order to make that change, because change happens when we're in a high energy level state. So being happy, excited, those are the times that we have to be, those are the states that we have to be in to have those breakthroughs, right? So that was kind of the first thing he talked about. The second thing was having a story. So it's a story that we tell ourselves that creates a belief that of a certain outcome. So for example, a story we tell ourselves, oh, I can't make that certain money because of this, or you know, there's no way that I could go off and start my own thing and, you know, be successful with it. So those are just a couple of examples, but think about stories or things that you say to yourself because you think that you can't do something, right? There's a story that we tell ourselves, and that story creates a self-limiting belief that isn't even true, right? Because I had a self-limiting belief in a story I told myself that I don't, you know, if I go off on my own, I don't think that I'm going to be able to make enough money to provide, right? That was a story I told myself, and that's a problem. So you have to think about that. What is the story you tell yourself? You got to identify it, and once you can identify it, you can realize the truth of what that really is. Think about it. Is it true that, you know, I wasn't going to be able to make the money to, you know, provide? No, it didn't even happen yet. I'd never actually given it a try, right? So like, how could I know that it wasn't going to work if I'd never give it a try, right? I never put it in place and tried to make it work. So that was something that I told myself. But think about those stories that you tell yourself. And the third thing he said is the strategy. And honestly, we, as human beings, we always mix it around. So we actually try and do the strategy first, and then we fail at it, so then we create even a stronger self-limiting belief that we can't do it. And so the strategy is how you're going to do it, right? So what's the strategy you have in place for getting to, you know, where you want to be, having that breakthrough moment? So, you know, for example, taking, you know, quitting your job as an example, you have to have a strategy for how you're going to do it, right? So, you know, you can't just say, oh, okay, you know, get in the right state, then, you know, get rid of the story you're telling yourself, realize the truth of what it is, and then just quit your job. Like, you've got to have a strategy. You have to have something in place that's going to help you get there and help you along the way, a system. So for me, you know, my system was that, or my strategy was, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to work my butt off, I'm going to spend all my time trying to build a business. And what I'm going to do that, how I'm going to do that is I'm going to use graphic design and my web design skills to make money that month. And so I had a strategy in place. That was what I was going to do. And I was like, okay, if this doesn't work, then you know, we obviously had some savings that we could use to help me kind of get started. And, you know, after that I was like, well, if it goes 2 or 3 months and I don't have success with this, then my backup plan is that I'll just go on and get a job, right? So you got to have a strategy for how you're going to get there. So, you know, I think it's just really powerful to understand that those breakthrough moments in our lives can happen if we want to create them, right? We don't have to wait until we have we're at the threshold of pain when, you know, the thing that we're doing is greater than the decision that we really want to make, right? Because usually it takes a long time to really get to that point, because for me, it took me years to get to that threshold of pain where I was like, no, I am so sick of working the 9 to 5. I am so done. I am sick of it. I got to change this now, because the decision to actually go and do it was less painful than it was to work in the job. I was depressed. I hated my job. I hated it. I literally hated it. I woke up depressed in the morning because I didn't want to be there. Like, it was terrible. So I knew that I had to make that change. So don't let yourself get to that threshold of pain. You know, create the state in your mind of, you know, get in the right state, figure out what those stories are that you tell yourself, and then implement a strategy for how you're going to get there. Literally set deadlines for yourself. Tell yourself, okay, by this deadline, I'm going to quit my job. By this deadline, I'm going to make X amount of dollars. Like, put that in place and make that a do or die situation. You know, if you don't do that, then your family's going to die. Put a gun to your head and tell yourself that that's what you're going to do. You're going to put yourself in a psychological state, or you use your brain to help you get there, right? So setting those really strict deadlines, do or die deadlines, I'm telling you guys, that's how you get to the level that you need to be to make those breakthrough decisions, to have those breakthrough moments in your life. So you don't have to wait for those thresholds of pain. You don't have to wait to move. You don't have to wait to have a new environment or to not be around people that you don't want to be around. So I hope that this has been really helpful for you. Now, if you have enjoyed it, please leave a like on this video somewhere. And if you are here, please subscribe. And I create content like this all the time. I want to help you take your life and your business to the next level. But I thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have any other comments, thoughts, questions, anything like that, leave them below in the comments and I'd love to get back to you guys. But thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.